Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned in to the Investor Show as always. This is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. But today's episode, we're going to get into, should I pay off my mortgage or should I invest? Many people are told, hey, Prince, my mortgage is the biggest thing I will ever buy in my house. Well, the buying a house is the biggest purchase most people will make in their life. And this is the biggest purchase that most people will make in their life. They're asking the question, if I can just pay off my mortgage, I can have so much money coming back to me, or should I invest? I have an extra $100, $200, $300, $500. Should I take that money and pay off my mortgage, or should I take that money and invest? This episode, we're going to break down, we're going to use my personal situation of if I had an extra $500 a month, if I put it towards my mortgage, or if I invested it, which one I would come out better. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and make sure hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show, where you always going to...
You're going to learn today.
That was one of my little things I wanted to play there. I've been waiting to play that thing. I loaded it up last night on my new little mixer, so I wanted to play that. Let me say it one more time. Say it again, Kevin Hart.
You're going to learn today. You're going to learn today.
But anyway, so we're going to talk about what we talked about earlier. If you haven't hit that like, subscribe, comment button, go ahead and make sure you do that. But we're going to talk about paying off a mortgage versus investing. So let me pull up my amateur. You know what? Let's look at the interest rates. What is the average interest rate on a mortgage? So we're going to go to bankersrate.gov. You know, I think they have one mortgage rates. I'm going to Google mortgage rates, and I'm going to share my screen, right? Current rates for Colorado. I'm just going to pull up a simple thing. This is if you bought a home, this if you're a first-time home buyer, what are interest rates, right? 1 second here. Goodness, this thing is giving me 1 second. This thing is asking me like 10 questions. All right. So the average mortgage rate right now, let me say 80018, whatever. I don't care, wherever in Colorado. So the average mortgage rate right now, what we're going to see is that it's probably somewhere between 2 to 3% interest rates, because interest rates dropped. We know interest rate hit an all-time low. Continue with the Google. No, this company's doing too much. It wants to get all my information. I'm not trying to do all that. Just to show you guys and girls. But anyway, interest rates right now is if you're coming in, if you catch this live, make sure you hit that comment and subscribe button. I mean, hit the tell me where you're from. I'm going to get to the comments a little bit later. So interest rate right now, I have a 2.75 interest rate. Interest rates right now are running somewhere. Most people have interest rates somewhere between 2 to 4% on an average 30-year first time home buyer primary residence. Now, I'm not talking about investment properties and all the good stuff like that. So if you're a regular person, you purchased a home and you probably got somewhere between a 2 to 3 to 4% interest rate, right? So, you know, of course, you can look at the amortization calculator and it will tell you if you was to pay an extra $500 a month, you can reduce your interest and pay your house off fast. All right. So we're going to do this. Here you go. Here we go. So I see people are giving the laugh emoji. 1 second here. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to pull up the amortization calculator. And this is what this is going to do. This is going to tell me if I was to pay off my house, if I added an extra $500 a month. All right. So what is your goal? Let's say here, I'm sharing my screen here. Pay off my house. No, let's look at if I made extra payments, right? So right here, okay, extra payment information, we're going to put $500. If I made an extra $500 payment, $500. Keep in mind, I have a 2.75 and I'm going to begin it, you know, let's say next month and calculate it, right? Oh, my bad. I didn't tell. I'm going to do this every month. The extra $500 monthly. Let's calculate. Do I have to put an end date on it? Okay, it does require it. So let's say if I'm going to take this all the way until 2050, right? So I'm going to pay extra 500. So right now I'm pulling up my calculator. I'm saying that if I pay the extra $500 a month on my mortgage, here we go, to pay towards my interest, Here it is. So it says that, hey, my original payoff date, if I just kept my regular mortgage, would have been August of 2050, right? August of 2050 would have going to be my original payoff date. If I paid off every month, if I paid an extra $500 every month, I get to pay off my house 9 years early. So my 30-year mortgage turns into a 21-year mortgage, and I will pay it off in 2041, right? 2041, I will pay off my house. Not a bad deal. So now you must ask yourself this question. So y'all just see this. I would pay off my house in 9 years earlier by paying $500 a month, right? So now let's add into the math. Let's say with that same $500, if I invested $500 for, let's say, 10, 12 years. So they say I will pay my house off in 21 years, right? Let's say if I took $500 a month and it compound by 7%, and I should already have this calculator. I want to pull up this calculator so y'all can see it as well. Compound interest calculator. I'm gonna just Google a random one. There we go. Compound interest calculator. See if I can find a good one. I think I've used this one before on investor.gov. I think I used this one before. All right. So let's say if we took that same $500 and for 21 years, we got 7% interest, right? Right here. Okay, let me share my screen here. And we're going to go to compound interest calculator on investor.gov. That's where I'm at. So let's say my initial investment was zero. I had nothing. And I added $500 a month. And I did it for 21 years. Estimated interest rate. Let's say S&P 500 on average over the last 100 years, you adjust for inflation. Let's say if it returns 7%, right? And it compounded annually. We're going to calculate. So it would tell me in how many years I did. In 21 years, I would have $269,000 in 21 years. So right here, let's go back. I'm going to share this other screen that I was at. Let's pull up my amortization calculator that I had. What would I owe on my house in 21 years, right? So in 21 years, they said I would have $269,000 if I invested $500 a month for and got 7% annually. So let's go back to my previous calculator here. Let's look at my amortization. This is why it's very important to use the amortization because it's going to tell me how much I'm going to owe throughout the years. So let's see here. Okay. Right down here, it said I'll pay it off in 21 years, right? I would have 269. So right here, right? At year in 10 years, because it said I'll pay the house off in 41 years. 10 years earlier, it would say that I will owe 269,000. So let's say here, let's go back. Let me go back to the regular schedule. Let's go back to the regular schedule. I don't want to look at this one. Let's say if for simplistic purposes, make extra payments. Let's say pay off at a specific date. Let's say you start off with 400. Okay, let's use that. Your interest rate is 275. Okay. No, I don't want to do that calculator. Let me go back to the chart that I had. Now, let me go to some of these mortgage calculators. No, I don't want to look at that one. Oh, yeah, I'm back. It's not showing that screen anyway. Amortization. I should already have these calculators pulled up because I want to show you guys and girls at the same time as I'm going through it. Let's say if you wanted to make extra payments. And I'm just going to put in here, let's just say $1 because I just want to see $1. Let's do $10 just to pull up the calculator. I started this day, and let's say if I went for 50. Take it back to 2050. the original payoff. All right. Let's see, went to April on that. Just throwing in some numbers here. If I can ever get my numbers right. There we go. And let's say if you did this annually, I'm just putting in, you put in $10 annually, which is not going to be massive, a massive amount. All right. So time goes on. All right, here. Let's see when we get down to the 260s. All right. I'll stroll on down here. I'm looking at the balances, how the balances are changing. Okay, so we said we're going to have 269 in 21 years. So in 15 years, you will owe $268,000, right? So 10 years, no, that's not 10, it's 15 years. In 15 years, you owe $268,000. So if you took that same $500 a month, right? And let's say you compounded that for 7%. Let's say we did instead of doing 21 years, we started with nothing today, and we took $500 a month and we invested it into the S&P 500, and we got 7% back a year. We'll be at in 15 years, we'll be at 150, right? Let's see where we'll be at in um 20 years, we'll be at 269, right? So essentially, as you can see, when you break this down, you're going to end up paying your house off. You're going to end up having more money with investing, right? So the $500, what I'm looking at is the $500. If you put it towards your investment account and you earn 7% annually, you're going to make more money, right? Versus if you took the same $500 and you put that on your mortgage, now that $500 go to your mortgage, but your mortgage interest rates are so low. Your mortgage is compounding at 2%, maybe 3%, versus your investment account is compounding at 7%, right? So that 7%, as it's compounding over time. Now, one of the issue you're going to have, or one issue that you have to sit down with a tax professional and recognize, is that over time, you're going to have to pay taxes on that money if you decide, let's say if you put your money into an investment account and you consistently invested, and then 20 years from now, you decided to cash out on your investment account and put it inside of paid off your mortgage. If you do that, you're going to have long-term capital gains, right? So you're going to have to pay taxes, but there are ways to avoid tax, not evade taxes, but avoid, right? Or lessen your tax liability by some people use companies, some people use different tax vehicles that you'll probably sit down with a CPA to talk about to limit your tax exposure, to be able to say, well, if I put this $500 and let it compound at 7% annually every year, we're just doing S&P 500, where would I be at in 20 years versus if I just put this on my mortgage, you know? So if I put $500 on my mortgage, I get to pay my mortgage off 9 years faster, 21-year mortgage, right? But if I put that same $500 a month, sorry about that, I hit my microphone. If I put that same $500 a month inside of a investment account, right? If I take that same $500 and put it inside of an investment account, it compounded at 7%, and you got to put the amortization calculator and the capital gain growth calculator side by side to see, I probably could end up paying this off as sooner by investing versus paying off the particular mortgage, because you have a fixed mortgage at 2%, but your investment account could grow at 7-10%, right? That's something that I wanted to bring to them. See what y'all say in the comments. Wesley says, good afternoon from Los Angeles. What's going on, Wesley? I think it's my first time seeing you there. Oh, Crystal got the laugh emojis. Alan saying, good afternoon, brother. What's going on, Al? And Chris is coming from North Carolina. Miss Joyce is saying, hey, hello, how you doing? Yes. So the whole concept is, if you have an investment account that's compounding at 7% versus your mortgage is amortizing at 2%, which the $500, which place would it be allocated better? Right? Am I making sense to y'all? What's going on? Brandon say he's checking in. Uh, Brandon said he's checking in Baltimore. What's going on, Brandon? DJ said Picola in class. What's going on, DJ Dixie? Said he's in Pensacola in class. Stefan says good afternoon. And Crystal says, very good perspective. Yes. So we live in a very low interest rate society. When you live in a very low interest rate society, it's horrible for savers, great for investors. Again, I say horrible for savers. Why I say it's horrible for savers, when you look at CDs and you look at savings accounts and you look at checking accounts, look at the interest you're going to gain off of those. They're so low, they don't even keep up with inflation, right? But if you took that same amount of money and put that towards your mortgage, because no matter what technology they create, we're going to have a place to live, right? So when you take that same amount of money and you take that same extra $500 that you're going to put in your mortgage, and you put that into an index fund and let that index fund grow at 7, 8%, 5%, 7, 6, 8%. My investment account is growing at 7%. My mortgage is growing at 2%. So when you put that on that pay scale, you're going to come out better, minus the taxes, because you're going to have when you have that investment account, you got to use a savvy tax expert to find a way to say, hey, when I go to pull from this money in 10 or 15 or 20 years, I can take this money out and pay off my mortgage. That makes sense? So what I'm trying to do here, I should have been better prepared because I'm pulling up my amortization calculator and I'm also pulling up my investment account, and we're putting it in there, right? LK Raw says, makes sense to me, could pay the house off sooner than 9 years by investing. Exactly, LK Raw. Oh, yeah. Congratulations again, LK Raw. I want to hit my button as well. On you buying your house. LK Raw bought a house. A round of applause for him buying his house, his first house. So I do remember that, LK Raw. But the concept is, now that you just brought the house, some people say, hey, I was doing that, putting extra money onto my mortgage to say, hey, I can pay off my house. I can pay off my house faster. If I put $500 a month, I can pay off my house in 21 years versus 30. That saves me 9 years. But if I took that same $500 and put it in just something as simple as a S&P 500 index fund, symbol SWPPX, BOOOSPY, things like that, and you put that into a simple investment account. I ain't say get cryptocurrency. I didn't say get some new technology company, just something simple as an index fund. And you did that, and you put that aside your amortization calculator, that investment account is going to beat the amortization calculator. The only downside is the taxes. When you go to cash out on an investment account, you're going to have to pay probably long-term capital gains, unless, if you have it in a Roth IRA and you're under 59, they're going to hit you, right? You're going to get hit with a tax liability. If you're under 59 and you have a Roth or any type of IRA, if you have an individual brokerage account, you're going to get hit with, you're going to be hit with, what is that called? Long-term capital gains. I don't know what I was slipping my mind, but you're going to have long-term capital gains, right? So those are the tax liabilities you're going to have. Now, there's some creative ways to use some insurance products, but the only downside to an insurance products are going to come with fees, right? So that's the way to look at it. George said SWPPX for life. George, you've been following me for a while. SWPPX for new people, that is an index fund, and that is the cheapest index fund on the market. It's it's a Charles Schwab S&P 500 index fund. I haven't found anybody that can beat it. Price wise, you have the ETFs VOO by Vanguard. You have the Standard & Poor version of S&P 500, which is SPY. But those ETFs, you have to have $300 every time you want to buy it, because it's an ETF. It trades like a stock. But with SWPPX, you can invest into it with $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. The only downside is you cannot pull away from it in 90 days. And another catch, a mistake I made, do not buy SWPPX from TD Ameritrade. Sorry, TD Ameritrade. I know you're probably listening, but I would never, because if you buy from TD Ameritrade, they charge $49.99. With E-Trade, it is transactional free. The only time you get a transaction fee is if you pull out on it less than 90 days. If you hold it for 30 days and you pull out on it, then you're going to get hit with that fee. TD Ameritrade charges you to buy that. Okay, congratulations. Brandon said I closed January 6th, first home. Congratulations. Everybody give Brandon a round of applause for closing on his house. Congratulations, man, on buying your house, man. Congratulations. I'm always happy to see people do that because, homes, usually grow with you're taking advantage of the very low interest rates. Home, usually a house, first you got to have a place to live, and then your house can grow equity, growing in equity and things like that. Right. So that's a good thing, better off than, I don't know. So renting is good for certain people. I know a lot of my friends who rent where they live, but they buy where they rent, if that makes sense, or whatever. That's how they look at it. So, who is this? Another bar gamer says Uber still a buy. I'm still riding with Uber. Uber, like I said, I'm waiting for the story. I know they just had a big ruling against them back in Europe. They had a big ruling against them last year. Well, they finally won California last year. So it's the same thing. It's just a new company. It's going to have growing pains. It's not just Uber. Uber and Lyft are going through the same problem, right? So when you look at Uber and Lyft, they're going through the same problem, but I believe they're going to figure it out. They're having growing pains. Just like when Facebook very first came out, it was unprofitable. It was this new little toy. You couldn't even upload videos to Facebook back then. You couldn't even put pictures when Facebook first came out. It was just you had to write like 120 words for college kids. Now look at it, right? Now I'm streaming live into it. Something totally different, way from college or whatever. So I think they will evolve. I think if I had to bet on somebody to evolve out of that, I think it will be Uber. I'm still riding with them, and I want to see if they can become profitable by the end of the year. The end of this year, beginning of next year, I want to see if they can turn profitable. And if they can, they're going to go over $100. That's my belief. So I'm following with the fundamentals. So yes, I'm still riding with them. All right. So hopefully that made sense to you guys and girls that tuned into this episode. I know I was kind of bumping around in the beginning of the episode. I got a lot of new sound effects that's going to be used for later shows. I think y'all going to really enjoy them. Kevin Hart. Yes, I got Kevin Hart thing in here.
You're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today.
Then this was my favorite one. People always ask me, Prince, would you buy this? Are you going to buy that?
Hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, no.
All right, please, y'all. I know. Please don't sue me for using those little sound effects that I load into my little mixing board. I'm just having a little fun. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so people always ask me when I do my stock review, people like, Prince, I didn't know that. That's when I hit him with the Kevin Hart. You're gonna learn today. And if it's something that I disagree with, then that's how I hit my Bishop Bo Wiggle hell to the no. Right. Just a little fun for the show, some sound effects that I thought would be cool that I use on a later show. But today I want to get in and show everybody. So many people say, hey, I want to pay off my mortgage, pay off my house, pay off my house, pay off my house. But it's paying off a house smart in a low interest rate environment. That's what this episode was about. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I got to get out of here. Enjoy your weekend. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And to the next video podcast, cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me do around the globe. Peace. Be safe. I'm out. Thank you.